What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and I'm your favorite blind film critic. And this is a second look at The Matrix Reloaded, which celebrated its 20th anniversary last year. So it is now 21. It can legally drink. But I'm doing this review because The Matrix actually turned 25, it's celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. So I just really wanted to get all the Matrix films out this summer. So anyway, to celebrate the Matrix is the film you celebrate. You don't really celebrate Reloaded, nobody does that. So anyway, The Matrix Reloaded. Just click subscribe so that we can talk about it before the agents come for you and reset and reload you. Whatever. Anyway, this is still directed by the Wachowskis. This film had audio description. Man, does this film have audio description. We're going to talk about it. It's Miles Neff, and oh my God. But first, this film stars like the same people from the first film. Obviously, Will Smith, Carrie Moss, Laurence Fishburne, and we've added in, now that we have a budget, and it's a bigger franchise, they have to have more characters. So we've got like Jada Pinkett Smith, Monica Bellucci. So there's more people in it, and more actors, more characters. There's this whole Zion world. It's a much bigger expanse on The Matrix, and that's what happens when you order a sequel and then you like double the budget. Is they're like, well, wait a minute, we can go bigger. And it absolutely does feel like that they try to go bigger. But part of what made The Matrix work so well was their innovation with having very little. For The Matrix, they had a film that starred Keanu Reeves at a time when Keanu Reeves was not like a huge star. Like he wasn't like tearing down box office doors. And neither were Laurence Fishburne or Carrie Moss. I mean, that Carrie Moss was in The Matrix prior to being in Memento. So she wasn't exactly going to lock in the box office. Even Hugo Weaving did The Matrix before he showed up in the Lord of the Rings movies. So these actors were sort of all untested, and that, like I explained in the first video, that's kind of why it had a spring release date. Then it ended up being this huge phenomenon, and bullet time became this thing that we did in every movie and video game for a while. So they had such a huge effect. Reloaded doesn't really do that. It doesn't really reinvent anything. It doesn't really push new boundaries. It just takes what they have and pushes it to the limit in terms of money, in terms of scale, in terms of what they're able to do. Neo flies a lot in this because he can, because they have the money to. There's a really cool like car chase sequence that's pretty badass. That is basically, I think, the thing everyone remembers from Matrix Reloaded is the car chase sequence. That looks really cool. Again, I don't even want to talk about audio description yet. We're not even there. I'm not even there. I'm going to get there pretty quickly because with this film, there's not too much. But the film gets sort of bogged down in lore. It opens up this whole thing about the prophecies and Morpheus and Neo being the one, and well, if I'm wrong, then we're all dead anyway. Like all of just and then there's like the Keymaker, and just everybody that you meet throughout the course of this film, and then finally like Neo finally gets to the one room that he's supposed to get into, and he meets the architect, and the architect has important information to tell him, and just sort of like is like to rock your world, so, and you're left with, because they knew Revolutions was coming out, they did this innovative thing where they released 2 sequels in the same year, so they really teased and left the door for Revolutions to come out. So yeah, this is the better sequel This is where things are still kind of interesting and they don't go too far down the rabbit hole, although they do kind of introduce things as if they'd always been there. Instead of like they're it's kind of anti-exposition. They're just kind of like, yeah, it's Zion. Yeah, it's Niobe. It's what are you talking about? And she was there. What are you talking? It's just, I mean, everybody's just kind of, yeah, of course there's a council. I mean, like everybody's just sort of introduced in a way as if they had always been there in the first film, and like Morpheus was talking about all this stuff before and this city. And there's a reference to the fact that Neo has been pulling more and more people out of the Matrix and saving them. And there are these people who are like trying to get their family members out, and they have like pictures, and they're giving him like tributes. They're like, oh, here, have some soap, please, please go save him, please go save my son. you know, um, so it's like this world. They were like, it's like they hadn't asked themselves, the Wachowskis hadn't asked themselves, what is this world beyond that we're talking about? What is the lore? And then the film was a hit, and they're like, shit, now we have to ask ourselves what the lore is. So then the second film becomes all about shaping the world and the lore and asking themselves these questions and introducing us to characters who could have possibly helped create the Matrix or helping the Matrix run. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it does have some cool action sequences in it. It still has some really cool fighting. Um, there's a sequence where Neo stops like 100 bullets or whatever all in the air at the same time. I remember that looked pretty cool. And yeah, it is what it is. It's pretty cool. They do play around with this Agent Smith situation, so it's not all like Hugo Weavings. Like it's a bunch of different agents. Um, Likely because Hugo Weaving didn't really want to be in this. Uh, it's okay. He didn't want to be in the Avengers movies anymore either. He didn't want to do his Red Skull film, Red Skull reprise. I don't really understand film choices from him, but yeah. So he does show up, but it's not most of the film. It's like other Agent Smiths and these two. I don't know how to describe it. That's probably maybe the one thing that I felt like we could have gotten. But then again, I don't really know. Is that important? They look so weird. They found these two twins, or I don't know if it's one guy and they just doubled him like Lindsay Lohan, Freaky Friday, Parent Trap stuff, whatever. But they're the weirdest looking, like Nordic looking twins in that role. And they're kind of like a cool set piece, but very interesting. Anyway, I it's okay. It's okay. This film, I don't hate Reloaded. I can watch Reloaded. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's like almost exact same runtime as the original. Um, it does start opening the door to getting complicated, which is one of the things that bogs down the later films, is that they start having to like explain more and more to you, and like it becomes like a film for like people who are like ready to open a textbook, like learn about the Matrix. Like, wait a minute, so how does this work? Explain this to me, the physics, and like it starts to kind of feel like we're getting there, like we're getting pushed more and more into stuff that the first film didn't need. The first film didn't need that. It was like red pill, blue pill, in and out. Everybody understood the Matrix. They didn't bog themselves down in this wide spanning lore and twisting and turning and, well, this is how things have to be because this is how this happens, and we use this to do this, and then over here we're pulling power from this, and you have to get these 8 buildings to do this. And this film has a lot of that. So it's just not quite as original, as inventive, as fun, and as the first. It's got that a little bit of that been there, done that feel, but also that, well, we have more money, so let's do cooler, bigger things, more explosions, more things that you haven't seen before that we couldn't pay for in the first film. So, yeah, it's So that's this. Anyway, I really want to talk about the audio description because Miles Neff is amazing in this. This is a film that I would say you we have this debate, this raging debate nowadays about AI. And Miles, rest in peace, is one of the reasons that you like I want to just make people listen to Miles narrate films so that way they can actually understand why we want human narrators, because you cannot capture or replace a Miles Neff performance, and he brings so much to the table when he narrates a film. Matrix Reloaded is probably one of the greatest examples of what he brings, and I've heard it throughout the Star Wars films that he does too. He's done some other work, but this is he feels like he's watching it for the first time also with you, and he is also a really big fan, and his level of excitement raises with the action, and he gets really excited when the action is rising and cool things are happening, and he's like, Agent Smith rips off the top of the car, it's it's so he makes it an experience. You forget that you're listening to accessibility. You forget that you're blind and that you need this track to exist, and it feels like you've almost chosen this in the way that people would have chosen to do, a Mystery Science Theater track, right? Like those guys that still do. They're under something else now, but it's um, like if you were to download one of those tracks for a film and listen to that, it feels like, or listen to the director's commentary, it feels like when you choose that, you don't have to choose it. You're choosing because you want to choose it. And to have Miles Neff do your audio description feels like, why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that to listen to that? It is so damn good. He is so good and was such an amazing narrator. This is not only is the description well written, but his voice is just so instantly recognizable. I knew exactly who was narrating this from the beginning, and his excitement and his ability to navigate these action sequences and the intensity level, and to make things feel like they're special, to make things feel like he's seeing them for the very first time as he's telling you about it, so that you feel like you're seeing it for the very first time as you're telling about it. I had a very different experience with Matrix Reloaded than I thought I was going to have, because I'm kind of on this film, but Miles really made me feel like I was experiencing Matrix Reloaded all over again for the very first time, because it was my first time watching it with audio description, but it was also my first time listening to Miles Neff do the audio description for this film, and it is great. It is absolutely, truly an experience. If you don't like this movie, please listen to it anyway. Even if you're I'm a Matrix 1 person and the sequels suck, please watch Reloaded. If you can get his narration, it's one of the best audio description tracks I've ever heard is in this film. Not only is it well written, to where the audio description and the description of the world and everything that goes along with it is really well done, but what he brings performance-wise to the film just sells it. I feel like you could put him on films that aren't great, and he makes them better, which is, again, why wouldn't you want that? Why would you want to put something that is shitty that we're going to be sitting there listening to and being like, God damn it. The whole time, when you could hire somebody like Miles, put Miles on your film, and actually have somebody who's really taking the time and the energy to give this fully rounded vocal performance as an accessibility feature. He's really trying to bring the blind audience in the best way he possibly can. This dude gave everything for these performances. He is the best example and reason as to why we should not be doing TTS, why we should not be doing AI. If you care at all about your films, please listen to somebody like Miles, because Miles is amazing And there are other narrators who work today who bring so much to their crafts, to their performances. They make things interesting. I've talked about various things over the years, various different performances. Specifically, I did not really enjoy The Regime, but I really enjoyed Dave Wallace's narration because of the way that he understood the regime, and he understood the tonality of the regime, and the way that he narrated the film, and the way that he kind of like crept quietly through the film. And there are scenes where it kind of like it's like lingering, and he kind of lingers with it. It's like, and we're going, he seems to understand exactly what the film is going for and delivers a perfect performance. And these people complement the film and they help sell the film. And Miles opened me up to a film I was just kind of like on. And it's like, dude, I would listen to him describe this any day of the week. So I actually think I like The Matrix Reloaded more now that I can listen to him describe it, because he's incredible. This might be one of the best audio description tracks ever made. So what's a shame is I don't know what company he worked for, because Netflix cut off the credits. Like they were still going, and it just bounced me out of the film. It didn't bounce me into anything. It just bounced me out. It was like, I didn't get to the end of the film at all. Like, Miles was narrating the credits, and I got bounced out. I was like, what the? This is like the second time this has happened to me where Netflix is like, nah, you don't need to see the credits. But it's weird because other streaming services bounce you into something else. Netflix just bounced me out. They're like, pick another title. I was like, but I want to listen to the credits. The fuck is your problem? You know? So weird. Anyway, so that's Matrix Reloaded. I probably would have said B going into this, but Miles, damn you. Miles is yeah. The Matrix Reloaded Miles definition is getting a B plus from me, because he does bring more to the table, and I loved his just the joy he brings to the art of cinema. Talk about somebody who clearly loved what they did, and it really shows. It just comes through. Man, I wish I could talk to this guy. I'm so sad that I missed his time in the industry, because he's left behind so many great tracks that should really never be re-recorded. He's attached permanently to these films, and they're perfect audio description tracks. So, this is an untouchable. Keep it, sell it as is. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I know this is too long, but man, I just needed to fanboy for Miles. I will see you guys on the other side.